Good morning. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for people to pop on. I'm throwing some posts out here to let people know I'm going live. And let's see. So if you give me a minute. And today I'm going to be talking about 5 things that you can do to immediately stop or drastically alleviate your stress and anxiety to make your life more manageable, and so that you can go on and accomplish some of the things that you haven't been able to because of stress and anxiety. So if you give me 1 second, and now I'm back over to you. And I'm Mary Beth Sabatek, the founder of the Psychoenergetic Institute and developer of the energy model of therapeutic change. Today is February 12th, 2021. It's kind of a rainy day. It's a perfect day to be inside and to talk to you all. So what are some things that you can do today to reduce that anxiety when you are looking at life through the lens of anxiety? And I talked on my last video about looking through the lens of fear, kind of the same thing. Then it almost seems like everything is impossible. There's no way that it can be this simple. But I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has not only worked in the counseling and coaching field for decades, but also somebody who has, let me just get this one out here, but somebody who has experienced severe anxiety and the very limiting anxiety at times. I'm just getting some of these browsers off here. But as somebody who has experienced severe anxiety, is I can tell you I'm the queen, and that there's a lot of things that I wish I knew then that I know now, and that ultimately were my saving grace. So the first one is diet and nutrition. And think of this. Okay, what if every week a big truckload showed up at your house, a big dump truck, and it backed up to your house, and it put that little tunnel into your door and into the middle of your house, and it just dropped a big load of manure in the middle of your house? And that would be very stressful. But what if the operator of that truck thought it was a good thing and enjoyed doing it and said, oh, no problem, and left you there cleaning it up, and you get it all, you work all weekend. I imagine it wouldn't be a quick clean. You might have to engage other people to help you. So a week goes by, and what happens? He pops back in with that truck, and he's really enjoying himself because it's nice, it's fun, that's his world. So he dumps another load, and so your house becomes more toxic and more dirty and harder to keep up with, and you become more sluggish. So we do that to our bodies all the time. And our bodies are broken down, as you know, into cells and tissue and organs that all have a job to do. And when we put things into it that bleed our life source energy, then what we are doing is we are taking away the ability of our bodies to function properly and keep us healthy. And so what happens is after a while, they become so toxic that our bodies start showing signs of stress to communicate with us. Our bodies cannot Facebook us or text us or call us on the phone and say, hey, that Burger King meal, it is not conducive for me healing, because it's so processed and full of chemicals, like a lot of our foods are, that I can't heal you. I can't ward off all these illnesses because I'm fighting with this. And it's like, you can't have a sparkling clean house and have it all beautiful. And think of this, what if it was your spouse doing it? You'd be like, you want a clean house? You want us to have a beautiful life. Why do you keep coming and dumping this manure in the middle of our living room? And so another quick analogy to use here is your vehicle. If you were going to do a cross-country drive, would you do it on bald tires? And would you do it on a radiator that's half empty or a gas tank that you decided, well, I want to save money, so I'm going to put half water in the tank? Your car would break down. It would give symptoms. It would not run effectively. So we do this to our bodies, and then we sit there and we wonder, gee, why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel this? Our bodies are smart and they know what message we will listen to. So some people, they can, they seem to manage stress better, but they're sick over here. So our bodies will hit us in the area that we're more prone to listen, because that's our body's way of communicating. So those feelings of anxiety, a lot of times, are really your body trying to communicate with you. It's your friend. It's the symptoms are your friend, because it's telling you that there is an imbalance in your life, something that you need to be addressing. And the first place to start is foundational, because if you are having that 6 cups of coffee a day, or coffee is known to be a mood altering substance. Okay, and so a cup might be okay. There was a time in my life where 1 cup of coffee would send me over the edge. Now I can have, I do drink 3 cups, but I do have decaf, half regular now, because I love my coffee in the morning. I love my 3 cups. So think about what you're putting into your body. Is it bleeding you or feeding you? It's important to eliminate processed foods. Uh, any kind of beverages that are sweetened or artificial sweeteners, sugar, chemicals. I pretty much stick to water, tea, tea with local honey sometimes, coffee with maybe a little half and half, no sugar, and once in a while a glass or two of wine. But that's pretty much the only beverages, because we kill ourselves with all this junk and these beverages and this food that our body, again, it's like someone coming in and dumping a load of manure and leaving you to clean it up. And we do that to ourselves. We do it to our organs, and they're working for us and we're working against them. So that's the first thing, is look, really focus on a lot of the whole foods and fruits and vegetables, and also good supplements. I have found that L-theanine is fantastic. If I have something stressful going on, then I'll take some L-theanine, or L-tryptophan at night, helps you sleep. There is a ton of great supplements. Don't go to Walmart or any of the places where they're going to be processed and come from who knows what country, that who knows what is in it. You want to go to a good health food store and who knows where their products are made. And especially local health food stores are the best. But those are things that you will immediately see a difference. And what happens when we have anxiety and stress, and this I'm speaking right now, especially to PTSD people, because when we have anxiety and stress, first of all, if it's because of your triggering event and you're eating a poor diet, you're not helping it. That's like having lung cancer and leaving your chemotherapy appointments and smoking. Okay, so you're not helping it. However, here's what's really cool is I have had so many clients over the years that come in and that they're suffering anxiety attacks and fear and panic and different symptoms, and even some psychotic symptoms. And so, I ask them, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And they always find an event or a time period of their life to attribute it to. And this happened to me, or that happened to me. And yet you also see these other people over here, and they've had horrible things, maybe even worse. Of course, pain is how we view it. So, but maybe more traumatic, than this over here would seem. But yeah, these people are just over the edge. And these ones over here seem to do great. But the common thing that I found is what they're putting in their bodies. And that is where I start all my clients. Now, some come in and they don't need that. They're already doing it. So it might be another energy leak or bleed in one of their other 8 energy core areas. But right now we're talking about the physical. So what has happened more times than not is when they take care of the diet and addressing it, and there's a lot of wonderful things you can eat out there that are whole foods, delicious foods, healthy foods, a ton of recipes. You're not going to be eating cardboard or all this gross stuff. But what has happened is once they've addressed that, many times they've realized, gosh, that event that happened to me, um, I can handle this. I've got this. Or maybe it didn't define me as much as I thought it did. But when you have this anxiety, and again, think of the manure coming in your house and you being stuck left to clean it up, when your body is giving you these symptoms because it's probably mad at you and going, stop it, then what happens is you look for something to attach it to because it feels crazy to have these symptoms that you don't know what they are. You don't know where they're coming from. So that's the first thing. The second thing is this prayer and meditation. And I know that there's somebody out there that is sitting there right now saying, wait a minute, prayer and meditation, shouldn't that be first? Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to pray and meditate in the middle of an anxiety attack? Because I have. And what has happened is, dear God, help me and all this. And you're so focused that you almost make it worse. Your mind won't shut down. So in the end, you really didn't get a benefit from the prayer and the meditation, and you still have your anxiety. So what I discovered is the first thing we have to do is, because we are in this physical vehicle that is carrying us through this life, then uh, we have to lay the foundation here first, because if we can calm ourselves and do some things for our body to give it that ability to manage this stress, then we can be quiet and we can be still and listen. And on that front, I will tell you that, I used to have this fear of traveling, and especially I'd be like anxious for 2 weeks before trips. And so during that 2 weeks, I wouldn't eat any sugar. I would drink chamomile and sleepy time tea day and night. And so I'd get myself in a really relaxed state. And what I found is every time I traveled, I just floated through it and loved it. And I love traveling now. So that's it with prayer and meditation. Get that time in. Take your deep breaths to ground yourself. Be as if you can get outside barefooted and do a few moments of deep breathing to ground yourself with that prayer and meditation. And remember, the earth and our spirits and bodies have a synergistic relationship, which is why the whole foods are important, why the grounding on bare feet is important, getting in nature when you do your prayer and meditation. And for those of you that live in cold climates, there's a couple things you can do. You can sit in a window. For me, I could look out at the snow. So when I lived there years ago, before we had all the technology and before we could get internet on our TV, I would pull up beach scenes on the computer, live beach scenes, and I would just hear the waves and look at that. You may want to do a CD with nature sounds and things. So the third thing is stop, look, and listen. And chances are, if you have been experiencing anxiety, you have gotten into the habit of reacting or retreating, or you are responding and you are looking through that lens of anxiety and fear. And so some of the things that you're doing is creating it more. And because fear and anxiety beget fear and anxiety, and success begets success. So stop. When you start feeling that fear, that's a good time to stop. It's a good time to take those deep breaths, to ground yourself, and to say, okay, what is it that I need to learn from this situation? What do I need to hear? What do I need to change in here? How can I do this differently? And so look around you, look beyond what you see in front of you. And I tell people this all the time. We live, as we know, 20 and 21. I have a feeling it's just going to keep getting a little weirder for a while. So we live in a time where there's so much information coming and so many opinions and all this. But what if you were to pull back the curtain and look and see what's really behind the curtain? So we can do that not only on a global or political or any type of larger scale than us. We can do that in our own life. What is behind this curtain? And what I found with a lot of my anxiety that I attributed to uh, a couple traumatic events, and one of them was my mom leaving when I was 12, and I came home one day and she was gone. She had moved out of state, and I carried that for so long. But what I found is when I pulled and looked behind the curtain and discovered, you know what? If I don't starve myself all day, if I don't binge on candy corn every Halloween, and if I don't drink 6 cups of coffee, and I'm not always like in a deprivation mode and drinking diet. Back then it was Tab. I was always drinking Tab. So if I start feeding myself these small meals and focusing on protein and fruits and vegetables and a lot of water. Water is the great emulsifier. It's the great cleanser, the great healer. So if I start nourishing my body, I discovered that behind that curtain, that I was really able to manage that and come to peace with that, and really, instead of identifying as my mom left me as a kid, then which she didn't, she stayed in our lives, but she did move quite far away. And but it was shocking. And so what I realized though is it wasn't that was traumatic, and I would hate for that to happen to any other kid. However, um, my ability to manage it would have been so much better if I would have eaten right all those years, but I didn't. I was a kid. I was just doing what kids do. Um, so don't be afraid when I say stop, look and listen, look behind that curtain, see what's there, because it probably most likely it's not fully the event that you think that's putting you in a situation. And for me, it was my diet. For other people, it could be a relationship that they're in, or it could be something in one of their other key life areas that is causing that imbalance. And what happens is that when we have an imbalance in one area over here, it will manifest sometimes in a seemingly unrelated area. So I really couldn't see how, gee, I have this emotional thing going on. And so that would be my emotional IQ area. But how could, what I'm eating do here? So stop, look, and listen. Take that deep breath and ground yourself. And then the next thing is number 4 is to focus on the things you can do and not on what you can't. And I don't allow my clients, when they start saying I can't, and I'm on some PTSD forums, and I have discussions on some other forums that I host. And one of the things I hear is, you don't understand. You don't understand how I feel. You've never had pain. You've never. And I see this discussion going on with people and how insensitive and this kind of thing. But what I see is people not only holding on and focusing on what they can't do, but they are protecting it. They're like, I don't want any more outside information because I know you don't understand. And so it's what I have found, and one thing that helped me once I got that physical, so I was able to breathe a little bit and not, I used to say my bones shook. I just felt real wiry and I never went on medicine for it because I always knew, even as a teenager, that if I did, I'm going to have to deal with this someday. It's going to be waiting for me around the bend if I go off the medication, and I didn't want to do the side effects. So that was just my opinion. However, what I found is, instead of all the limitations, then I started focusing on the things that I could do. You know what? I can go to work and I can help a ton of my clients, because when I first started working as a counselor, I was still dealing with the anxiety. And that was when I started really getting a handle on the diet and things. But I knew that I could go in there, and no matter what else happened outside of there, when I went in there, then I was that confident, competent person. And and but I've seen other people where they start focusing on like their art. Okay, I don't want to hear about what a victim you are, or this happened and this happened and that happened. What I want you to come and tell me every week is what you've done, what you can do. And it's kind of goes back to, I gave you a list in the beginning of foods not to eat. So your job is to come up with a list of things you can eat and find those things that you can do, because when we focus on the can'ts and we focus on limitations, that's what we manifest in our lives a person who can't, a person who lacks confidence, and a person who is deficient, because we're focusing on the deficit. But really, there is no deficit. It's just that we're not focusing on our assets. Everybody has things they can't do, even all the big gurus. And some of the things they can't do might surprise us, but they're focusing on what they can. So that's the next thing. And again, start with that foundation. Get your body, because some of these things feel impossible. If you're a painter, if you're an artist or whatever, it's hard to do it when your mind is filled with anxiety and you're in that flight and fight mode. So the last one, number 5, is to do what you love. Find something that you love and do it every day. Years ago, somebody that was very close to me went through a breakup and they were devastated. And what he told me is, he said, I stopped driving to work and I started walking. And I figured, and he said, every day I would have a talk with myself, because I didn't know what I was going to do or how I was going to go forward. And he said, the first thing I wanted to do is get back in shape. And the second thing I realized is, I've always wanted to kayak, and I've always wanted to bike, and I've always wanted to run, and rollerblade, 4 things. And so he said, the first thing I did was went out and I bought a bike, and when I could, I bought a kayak and I bought rollerblades. And I decided that every day I was going to take at least an hour or two to do something that I loved, that I was passionate about, and something that I wasn't able to previously do. Maybe because I didn't have time, or because of a relationship I was in that didn't allow it, or a job that didn't allow it. But he used that time, because that he had formerly been tied up in the relationship, to that he would have been spending with her to do the things he loved. And so what ended up happening was, after a couple of years, he lost opposite weight. He looked fantastic, still does. And he went on to meet his mate who does all the same things. And so they're able to share that, and not only share it together, but now with their kids. So they're married now. So those are the 5 things. Again, diet, nutrition, supplements. Get yourself that physical foundation. Stop dumping loads of manure into your body and expecting it to function as it's supposed to. Uh, Prayer and meditation. Get yourself in a state where you can ground yourself, breathe, and in that prayer and meditation, don't beg. Don't, just be thankful. God, thank you for what I can do. Thank you for this moment of peace. Thank you for being here. What do I need to learn? Take that time for number 3, and that is stop, look, and listen. And it's good to get in that habit of, when that chaotic situation, when that toxic person comes up, or when that triggering event happens, to get yourself back into that state of meditation, to stop, look, and listen, and ground yourself. And then again, focus on what you can do, because what you're going to start finding is there's a ton of things you can do. And you're going to start discovering that you're actually a pretty amazing, talented person. But if your energy is being bled by this over here, because that's what you're feeding, because that's what you're focusing on, then this never has a chance to develop. So what you're doing by focusing on what you can, and I'm not going to worry about what I can't do right now. I'm just going to put my energy here. What happens is, Before, everything was, this is where you are. I can't, I can't, I can't. And therefore, I can't begets I can't. But what you want to do is bring that scale. So this is down here and this is up here. This is where your focus are, because success begets success. And last, again, just every day, spend some time doing something that you love, and uh, just taking care of yourself in that way. And I promise you, within days, weeks, months, depending on where you are on all these scales, you will feel a huge difference. And for those of you that suffer from PTSD, some of you may be surprised to find out that what you're experiencing is either not from the triggering event at all, or it's because you haven't had the ability to manage it properly because you didn't give your body the proper foundation. And now that you have it, it's kind of like, wow, I got this. I can deal with it and move on. This no longer defines me. And what defines me is this beautiful, wonderful new person. Really not new, just that you didn't look behind the curtain to see what was in there. So what you have left is this person now who can. So I hope you all have a great day. I hope this has helped somebody, and thank you for joining me. Again, I'm Mary Beth Sabatek, the Psychoenergetic Institute. You can see us on the energymodelofchange.com. Join the Psychoenergetic Institute of Hypnotherapy and Life Coaching on Facebook, and come and see us, and just also YouTube. That's what I was trying to remember. Your Amazing Soul on youtube.com. That's our channel. Subscribe to that and hope to see you back. Thanks.